Let's talk about the Cannoneer. It's got to be one of the most powerful and honestly one of the most misunderstood tower troops in all of Clash Royale. So, if you've ever swapped to the Cannoneer, thinking it's going to be awesome, and then just felt totally frustrated as you watch the losses pile up, yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's a super common experience, and there's a really specific reason for it.
And it's funny because the guides we're looking at today pretty much confirm this. So many players try it, they get steamrolled by a simple swarm of goblins, and they just immediately switch back. But that is not the whole story.
So let's really dive in. We're going to break down what the Cannoneer is actually for. We'll look at its biggest strengths, its fatal flaws, and most importantly, how you can build a winning strategy that turns all those frustrating losses into some seriously dominant wins.
Okay, first things first, we have to completely reframe what the Cannoneer is, and maybe even more importantly, what it is not. This right here is the most critical thing you have to understand. It is not some simple plug-and-play replacement for your good old Princess Tower. A better way to think about it is it's less of an automatic rifle and more of a high-powered sniper rifle. It's a specialized tool, right? It takes more skill to use, but man, the payoff is absolutely huge. And that brings us right to its core identity. If it's not meant for just general, all-purpose defense, then what is its one true job in the arena? This comparison just spells it out perfectly. The Princess Tower? She's your crowd control expert. She handles all the swarms with that splash damage. The Cannoneer does the exact opposite. It pretty much ignores the crowd to focus insane single-target damage on the big, beefy tanks. And just look at this list. We are talking about the biggest, baddest win conditions in the entire game. A lone golem or a Mega Knight that would normally make you panic and spend a ton of elixir gets absolutely shredded by the Cannoneer, a lot of the time before it can even touch your tower. So, as you can probably guess, having such a specialized role creates a very, very specific set of strengths and weaknesses that you have to play around. When you actually play to these strengths, the results are just game-changing. Seriously, those beat-down decks with a Golem or an E-Giant, they suddenly become your favorite matchup. You can defend an 8 elixir push with just a couple of elixir, which sets you up for a massive counterattack that your opponent just can't afford to stop.
But, and this is where most players get it wrong, you absolutely have to respect these weaknesses. A simple skeleton army or a goblin gang isn't just a little annoyance. It is a direct, lethal threat to your tower. If you ignore these vulnerabilities, well, that's how you get those frustrating losses. So this huge difference in what it can and can't do means you simply cannot play the same way you do with a Princess Tower. You have to totally change how you think about defense. This quote from our source guide says it all. You can't just panic drop troops the second you see a push coming. Every single interaction has to be more deliberate. It's all about letting the Cannoneer handle the big guy while you use your other cards to precisely pick off the small support troops. Patience wins games. Panic loses them. So here's the deal. Your deck has to be built to support the Cannoneer. This is not optional. You need cards with splash damage, think Baby Dragon, or a spell like the Log or Zap. You have to actively defend against swarms because your tower simply will not do it for you. And this is it. This is the #1 mistake that sends people right back to using the Princess. You cannot treat the Cannoneer like a generalist defender. If a swarm of bats flies over the bridge and you have no answer in your hand, you've forgotten its job. It's a specialist, not a safety net. Okay, so with that new mindset locked in, what does a deck that's properly built for the Cannoneer actually look like? You'll start to notice a pattern here pretty quickly. Control, heavy bridge spam, graveyard. All of these decks are built with the spells and support troops you need to cover the Cannoneer's weaknesses. They bring the splash and the crowd control that the tower's missing, and that creates this perfect synergy. And on the flip side, trying to jam the Cannoneer into a fast cycle deck or a spell bait deck, well, that's just a recipe for disaster. Those decks rely on the Princess Tower to handle all the little chip damage and swarms, which is a job the Cannoneer is completely, totally unequipped to do. This is where knowing your matchups becomes everything. If you see a big golem push starting in the back, you know you've got a massive advantage. But the second you see a bait deck, you know that your discipline with your spells is the only thing that's going to decide if you win or lose that game. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's talk about the final step, what it takes to go from just using the Cannoneer to truly mastering this incredible tower troop.
Okay, here's the pro-level tip. The Cannoneer's real power isn't just in defending, it's in creating these devastating counterattacks. You actually want your opponent to build that massive, expensive push. You patiently defend it, get a huge positive elixir trade, and then use that advantage to build a counter push of your own that they just can't stop. And this is probably the coolest takeaway of all. Winning with the Cannoneer, it's not just about one card. It actually forces you to become a better, more disciplined player overall. You learn to track elixir, anticipate what your opponent is going to do, and manage your cards with absolute precision, because you have to. Because really, that's the choice the Cannoneer gives you. It's not the easy path, for sure. But for players who are willing to put in the time to master its specialist role, it gives you a strategic advantage that can completely elevate your entire game. The only question is, are you up for the challenge?